Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Burt Lang, and I'd like to welcome you to Skippy Lowe Looks at Hollywood. Skip's guests this week are British-born actress Anna Lee, star of General Hospital, and native-born Californian actor and producer David Knapp. Now, without further ado, let's go to the man of the half hour, Skippy Lowe.
I can't believe it. Anna Lee. Marlene Dietrich. Right away. The Seven Sinners. Marlene Dietrich.
And John Wayne.
And John Wayne, right. But Marlene Dietrich, tell me about it. They got a new movie about Marlene.
Well, the first thing she did, she doesn't like playing with another blonde, so I had to have my hair dyed jet black. And in those days, you know, they used real dye. They didn't use rinses. And for the next 6 months, I had to go around with jet black raven hair.
I bet you looked
Otherwise,
great.
she was very nice to work with.
She was. Is that the first movie? Is that the only one you did with her? Did you
that's
do any
the
others?
only one I ever did.
But John Wayne, he was a real...
I did 4 with him, I think.
4?
Yes.
Ford. You and Ford had a love affair, didn't you? I mean, you know, you worked a lot of films with Ford.
We were very fond of each other. I'd always heard that he only liked Irish actors, and so I made up a fictitious Irish grandfather. And after that, we got along famously. And then I did confess to him in the end that I didn't have an Irish grandfather. He was still nice. He always said the only 3 actresses he liked to work with was Katharine Hepburn, Maureen O'Hara, and Anna Lee. So I thought I was in good company.
Oh, you certainly were. My God, my favorites too.
Right.
What's happening with O'Hara nowadays?
She's still living on the Virgin Islands. She has a lovely house there, but she comes back once in a while, and she also has a house in Ireland that she goes to. I saw her not too long ago at one of the American Film Awards dinner. She still looks ravishingly beautiful.
How green was my valley? I was a little boy, and I just love that picture. That was one of my favorite little pictures.
Were you really a very little boy?
I was a little boy. I
can't believe it. Oh, dear.
Darling, it was one of my favorites. You and Roddy McDowall.
And you see, Roddy was only 11 at the time.
I was 11, too, because I'm about Roddy.
I think he still is my favorite leading man, because I love him dearly.
You're very close. You're very close with Roddy, aren't you?
Yes, yes. He still calls me Bron. Every time he calls me up, he says, Bron? And I say, yes, it's you.
Anna Lee. Where did Anna Lee come from, originally? Where are you originally from? You're not from England,
Oh,
are you?
I'm from England.
You are?
I was from Kent in England. I'm a maid of Kent. I'm a fair maid of Kent. If you're born one side of the Medway, you're a fair maid of Kent. The other side, you're a Kentish maid. And I lived there, well, all my childhood and most of my adult life. And my family still live there in Kent.
You studied theater in London, did you?
I started in theater because I went to the what was it called, Central School of Speech Training and Dramatic Art, which was at the Albert Hall. It was where Laurence Olivier went, and Ralph Richardson and John Gielgud had some very good alumni there. And I was there for 4 years, I think. And I would have graduated in honors, with honors, but I disgraced myself by going down to Elstree, because I was rather intrigued by what was known as the cinema there. And so I went down and got myself a job as an extra. Well, we called it the crowd then. And I was hauled up before Elsie Fogarty, who was the headmistress of Central School. And she said, one of our best pupils has prostituted her art by joining the cinema, by doing something for the cinema. And I had to stand there, and I wasn't allowed to continue. So after that, I went into a repertory theater in London, and I did plays all over.
And when did you come to America?
In 1939, just before the war started.
Theater or movies?
No, movie. I came out here. No, actually, I came out here to do nothing. I'd already turned down 2 Hollywood contracts because I was doing very well in England, and I had a contract with Gaumont British, and I was very happy. But I was married to an English director called Robert Stevenson, and we just had our first child, Venetia, and he was under contract to David Selznick. He did a film called 9 Days a Queen.
This is that 20th century.
Yes. And so he came out to be with David Selznick, and I thought, well, I'll just go out for the ride. But the war caught me. You see, the war broke out the next month, and I went down to the British consul to get my visa, and they said, no, you can't have a visa. You're a British woman with an infant child, and we're not letting any of them go out of the country. So I stayed.
You entertained the troops, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, that was in 43, I think. You see, I was dying to get home to England because, you know, all my family were there in the war. And I thought, well, the only thing to do, the Red Cross wouldn't take me. So I volunteered for the USO, and I said, I'll go anywhere. And I was positive they'd go to England because they always did go there. But instead of that, they sent me to the Persian Gulf.
So you went to Iraq and
Iran, Iraq, Basra, all
wonderful.
over. We started off, because we were flying in military aircraft all the time.
Yes, I did that too.
When we took off from Miami, we first went to Ascension Island, which is right in the middle there. And the men there hadn't seen a woman, I think, for 2 years or something. So they had to have MPs billeted outside my tent.
So you really enjoyed entertaining.
I loved it. And then I got mixed up with General Patton because he'd just gone through this hospital.
You met General Patton?
Oh, yes.
What kind of man was he?
I liked him very much, but he was a very strange man. He was very emotional. And he was telling me about, he wanted me to just do the hospitals, nothing else. And this was after Jack Benny was
Right.
I went out with first. He went home. Then I joined up with Adolphe Monjou. And then I was all alone. And I said to Patton, well, I can't, you know, I can't sing or dance or do things. And he said, well, I just want you to go to the hospitals and sit by the boys' beds and talk, you know, talk to them and get the address of their mothers and their sweethearts and so on.
How many children do you have, Anna? How many children do you have?
At that time, I only had the 2 girls.
2 girls.
Then I married a man who I met in Africa, who is a B-17 pilot.
I see.
A Texan. And I married him.
An American.
When we came back, an American. And I have 3 sons.
How nice. And one is an actor?
One is an actor, yes, who's doing All My Children now. He was in One Life to Live. And he changed his name to Jeffrey Byron. Because Byron.
Why is that?
Because he was a great romantic. Well, my husband, my last husband, who died 2 years ago, Robert Nathan, was a great romantic and loved
Browning.
Byron.
Byron, yes.
And so he suggested to Jeffrey that he should call himself Byron.
Nice.
So now he has his license plate on his car is Byronic.
You seem happy. You seem very happy, darling. You're in that general hospital.
Well, I am.
My
I'm
God,
delighted to be. Well,
you know, you're a busy lady. You keep yourself busy.
Well,
do you like that?
I love it because at my age, you know, it's not all that easy parts for women of my age, and especially cripples, because I'm now completely crippled. I can't use this leg at all. But I can still drive my car, and I can still work on General Hospital. And they wrote it into the storyline that my character, Lila Quartermain, had a very bad automobile accident.
Oh, I see. How long have you been with General Hospital?
9 years.
9 years.
Yes,
in
9 years.
show.
And I love it.
Do you
I
really?
love it. I love all the people on it.
But you had a talk show in New York.
Yes, I did.
In the
It's
50s?
It's News to Me with John Daly.
John Daly. Tell me about
And
that.
Quentin Reynolds.
Tell me about that just a little bit.
Well, that was a fun show because it was challenging because we were given stories that had appeared in the press, and then the contestant had to come up and judge whether the story was real or fictional.
Yeah,
so
I
we
see.
had to make up awful stories about things to make them look like they were fictional.
You know, I have next to you is a wonderful California actor, producer, and he's, matter of fact, his family is one of California's finest families, and his name is David Knapp. How are you, David?
I'm fine, Skip. How
Good.
are you?
And do you know Miss Anna Lee?
I sure do. I've
Did
known
you
Miss
people
Lee
work
for
together?
about 10 or 12. You know, we've never worked together. Her son and I had the same agent years ago, and we met. I have a little house on Doheny where Anna lives,
Yes.
and I lease that now. I no longer live in it, and we had a little cocktail party once, and that's where I met Anna. It was about 10 years ago in the mid-'70s.
You produced a wonderful show called The Philadelphia Story
Oh,
at
thank
the Callboard Theater.
Yes.
Last year, was it?
Yes, it was. No, it was this year. Yes, last year. February, January, February, March.
But the lady who was in that show, I met her in Rome years ago. What was her name? I can't not.
Who played the
Who
lead?
played, the older lady.
Oh, the older lady, Lisa Figas. She's
Lisa
also on General
Figas.
Hospital. With,
I know
with
Lisa
Anna.
Figas, and she was in Rome
Well, she
with.
was married to a Roman.
I was in- yes,
and has 2 sons by
I love her. I think she's
She's
fabulous.
a wonderful lady.
Yeah, she's
a
very nice.
dear
Yes.
friend, and she's also a neighbor of ours. She's
That's
just south
right.
of
She's in
Sunset
General
Doheny.
Hospital.
and
We have a whole
she
little
plays,
Sunset Doheny enclave here. that we're talking
She
about.
plays plays Georgia, the nurse, one of the nurses.
A wonderful lady,
Yes.
lots of fun.
And I see a lot of her.
You do?
Yes.
Had a lot of fun time in Rome with her there. She was a nice lady.
She's
Yes.
a delightful
Tell
human
me
being.
about Philadelphia Story. That was a very successful play here in town.
Reasonably
Really-
successful. I didn't quite tweak the audience as much as we hoped it would.
You call
But,
yourself a producer, don't you, David? You produce
Both.
a lot of things. You're an actor,
primarily
too.
produce now, but
You've done a lot of
a lot
TV
of
things.
acting, a lot of television acting, and some film and a lot
Tell
of
me
theater.
about your mother. That there is some property that you own, and something about the government or something in California.
Oh,
Tell me about what was that about?
Well, my great-great-grandmother, a lady named Arcadia Bandini de Baker,
Right.
had a little piece of property between what is now Westwood and Brentwood,
Correct.
where the Veterans Hospital was.
Right.
She died intestate. I think it was 1912. She left the property to the U.S. government on the contingency that it always be a Veterans Hospital.
Right.
Those 300 acres. And subsequently, in the last, I guess, 20, 30 years or so, they have gone into other things there, the government has.
I see.
So we have a suit against the government, and we're trying to
You're suing
either have them honor their commitment to keeping
Uh-huh.
it as a veterans hospital and a veterans facility, or
I see.
giving us back a piece of the property. Seems like a fair.
Do you like to act, David?
I used to like it a lot more than I do now. I don't enjoy stage acting
You
as much as
prefer
I used to. I prefer film and tape and
You
that
prefer
kind of thing.
producing or directing nowadays?
I don't know. That's like
If I got
asking,
you on
what
the
do you
phone,
like
you-
better, New York or Los Angeles? I love them both, and I'm always reluctant to be
You do
drawn into
love them both?
Yes, and people from New York say, how can you stand Los Angeles, and people from LA say, how can you stand New York? And I love both cities very much, and I feel the same way about producing and acting. I feel less anxiety, I think, when I produce for some reason. Getting self-conscious in my middle years.
Yes. Anna Lee.
Yes.
Have you ever directed at all?
No.
Would you like to?
I don't really think so. I think I prefer being on my own side of the camera.
Because you've been in the business a long time. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
you've done how many films?
Almost, well,
how many films have
Do you know,
Anna
I
Lee done?
never have counted them. I did about
300,
10,
would you say?
10 in England before I came out here. And then I've done, I've only done about 20, 25, 30.
Oh, no. Anna
Yeah.
Lee, 25? Really?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, when I started in England, you see, I started, we called it In the Crowd as an extra.
As an extra, yes.
And then I got my first film with a man called Jack Halbert, who was the sort of like the Jack Benny of England.
Flesh and Fantasy.
Flesh and Fantasy.
Oh, what a movie that was.
That
You
was
remember that
fun.
movie,
I
David?
do indeed.
Edward G. Robinson
Yes.
and Charles Boyer.
Yes, there was two nice leading men.
Two heavyweight.
Really?
dudes.
Tell me
Yeah.
about, what did you do in that film?
I played the girl who was engaged to Edward G. Robinson, and there was a sort of threat, a curse, and Dame May Whitty played my mother.
She was fun.
I loved her. I loved her.
You must have got along famously, did you?
Yeah, we did.
What kind of woman was she, really?
She was a lovely woman. She was very, very clever. Now, she would have made a wonderful teacher, I think, because she was very good at teaching people. And she was very gentle, very kind. I did a couple of pictures in England with her, too,
I see.
and I loved her.
The Ghost of Mrs. Miniver.
Mrs. Muir.
Mrs. Muir.
Yeah,
Mrs.
Mrs.
Muir.
Jane Tierney, Rex
Jane
Harrison,
Tierney.
and George
And
Sanders.
George Sanders.
I love them both. Oh,
George was a very close friend of the family.
Yes.
Was he
Many
really?
years, yes, he was.
What kind of man was
My
George?
mother dated for 4 years
Your mother dated George?
after he and Joshua were divorced. Yeah, very close.
Your
friends.
mother is a very famous lady here in
know,
California.
she's
A lot of people, yes. You know, she's a
Prominent
Shasha.
might be about-
She's prominent.
Well, she's ill
but
now.
she
She
plays
has
low
Alzheimer's.
key.
Well, she has Alzheimer's disease, so she has been
Yeah.
she's
Nice.
been in bed for 2.5 years
And
now.
she lives where?
In Montecito,
In
Santa
Montecito.
Barbara.
Uh-huh. It's nice up there, isn't it?
No, she has a lovely place. It's a
She
beautiful
really
spot.
liked George Sanders.
Yes.
Yes, they got along famously.
Did
I
you?
did too. George
Did you
was
like
very-
George Sanders?
very-
I have mixed feelings about him because I did
a great
another
many people
film with
do.
him. I had a film called Summer Storm. that I
Wonderful
did with
movie.
him, which was a good movie.
Wonderful.
And he always struck me, well, he was so supercilious and so sardonic, and he always gave me the impression that he hated women, but he obviously didn't hate
He didn't.
women.
Not at all. No, he wasn't.
And also, I knew him in England because he and
You
I...
could hate women and love women at the
yeah.
same time,
He-
and I think that was George's
Is that-
I think so.
dichotomy, emotional.
And George and I had the same singing teacher in England. who was his uncle, a darling white Russian called Dadya, which was Russian for uncle, Dadya Sanders. And I was very fond of him.
Did George sing? I didn't know he sang.
George sang and played the piano beautifully.
Did he really?
Yes, he used to take over the piano in the evenings at a dinner party and sing and
really?
play, and he was very, very good. It was his Russian blood, I guess.
Yeah,
musical thing. You know, he was half Russian.
I liked his brother, Tom
Conway,
very much. He married a friend
He was a
of
good
mine,
actor, too.
Queenie Leonard. He married Queenie Leonard, who was a soubrette in London.
Yes.
Loved her.
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music. Well, that was chiefly, I think, because I loved being in Salzburg. I had 10 weeks in Salzburg. And I loved Peggy Wood, too. And, well, everybody in the picture was lovely. I liked them all.
Eleanor and Franklin.
That was a TV
film.
That was fun. That was a TV film. Yes. But we haven't spoken about the early films, like King Solomon's Mines.
Yes. Yeah, well, I
with
do.
Paul Robeson. Now,
Tell me about Paul Robeson in those early films.
It was about 1936, I think, we did King Solomon's Mines. And his voice was magnificent at that time. It was just beautiful. And we made the whole picture at Gaumont British, volcanoes and all. And they sent a second unit out to Africa to do some of the dancing there.
Was this the same film that was done about 48 with
no,
Deborah Carr and Stuart Granger?
They did the second one, and I think a third
I mean,
one.
same plot, same basic
Well,
story?
it was basically the same, but without Robeson, it wasn't nearly as effective.
What kind of man was Paul Robeson?
Very nice, very gentle, very kind.
Did you ever meet her at Hatfield? Did you ever meet her at Hatfield? He lives in Ireland now. He has a castle.
Yes,
he has a castle in Ireland.
Dinner with him back there in June of last year.
Were you there in Ireland?
Yes, we're staying with some friends of ours in Kilkenny, and we went down to Cork, where he lives. And
I showed some pictures on my show last time he was here from his castle.
I have an idea. He's playing a part in General Hospital.
Yes, he did, before he left. He was just here a few weeks ago.
That's what he was doing. He was
Her at Hatfield.
playing one of the gangsters.
He's back in New York now. I mean, I'm back in Ireland right now. Tell me about his castle again. Is it?
We didn't go to his castle. We went to a place, I think it was called Rosewood, outside of Cork. I was staying with some friends of ours that have a beautiful, beautiful home in Kilkenny,
Yes.
County, the Breffneys, and we went down there for dinner one night. They had 12 house guests, so you can imagine the size of the house. My bedroom was the size of my living room at home. And dogs all over the place. It's a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere. Then we went down there to this National Trust house where we had dinner, and Mr. Hatfield was there and sort of took us around and showed us, but we didn't actually go to his place.
I see.
I'm delighted to hear you mention National Trust, because I have something here in California called the Royal Oak Foundation, which is affiliated with National Trust, and I've done more benefits for the National Trust than I've done acting. Yeah.
Well, I must get you in the American Museum in Bath too, which we're
every year
sponsors
I
of.
put on something. The first one was for the White Cliffs of Dover, because they were in danger of being taken over by old builders and so on.
Yeah.
And
they wanted to tear it down.
We managed. We raised enough money that time. We had John Julius Norwich over, and the next one I did was the Heritage Ball. And I managed to get a brace of dukes. I had the Duke of Grafton and the Duke of Argyll, and so I had all the Campbells, because he's, the clansman of the Campbells.
So you do a lot of benefits.
Well, yes, I do less and less now, but the next one I'm doing is for a National Trust property in Kent called Small Hythe Place, which was the home of Ellen Terry. And she lived there, and they've got a museum there with all her costumes and things.
I want to ask you both a question. You know, in Hollywood, Screen Actors Guild. Okay, are you a member of? I mean, you're a member naturally, but I meant a member. Are you on the boards?
No, I'm not on the board.
You're not. What it is that there's a gentleman by the name of Aldo Ray, a fabulous actor who's been around for years. The Screen Actors Guild just kicked him out of the union. Why? Because he's working on union films. I mean, the man had to make a living. He couldn't make. He had to support children. Do you think that's fair, Anna?
Well, you see, there's a strict rule that you cannot work for a non-union company.
Yes.
I mean, it's a union
Unless you get a
thing.
waiver.
Yes.
Unless you get a waiver. If you can get a waiver, it's all right.
And they're usually pretty good about that.
Yes.
So there must be a bit more to this than meets the
You
eye.
think so?
Yeah. SAG is a good union and,
It is
and
a
a
good
fair
union.
and a
Yes.
fair union
Yes.
and a protective union without being oppressive. And I don't know all the details. I've never heard about the
just feel a little-
situation or the ramifications, but I suspect if you get a representative here from SAG, they would probably explain to you why this happened, because I'm sure a little of the onus is on Mr. Ray, too.
Yes. Amelie,
Yes.
looking back over your life right now, do you have any regrets?
Oh, none at all. None. I just wish that I could live forever. I mean, I want to go out in this business. I'm now 74, and I would like to go on working until I'm, you know, like Kathleen Nesbitt did. And
Yes.
she was working right up to the end. I did
wasn't
a
dead.
play with her here at Westwood Theatre.
My godfather, Basil Rathbone, was one of her closest friends.
Really?
And when we married Basil, and that time Kathleen was a good deal older than he was. Well, not a good deal, but he'd be 97 now, and
Yeah.
she'd be 102.
Yeah, she was 91 when she died.
So I guess she'd
yeah.
be about I guess they were about the same age, actually.
And Anna Nagel, too. She went on working right up
She
to
just
the end.
passed
Wonderful.
away.
So that's what I want to do.
So you're happy then?
I'm very
and
happy.
At the moment right now, you're...
And I love
Right
being on
now.
She with a
Right
face
now?
like this, why she
This is
shouldn't
she.
go on working to the year 2020.
How about you, David? Are you happy what's happening with your life right
Oh,
now at the
yeah,
moment?
sure. I'm
You
very
are?
happy right now.
Are you
I
married,
think
David,
things are
or
going, no,
children or
no,
anything? No? I
not
see.
this moment.
So you're just happy. You're at the moment directing. Do you have anything coming
No,
up?
I don't directing. I just produce and act.
Producing. Do you have anything coming up?
Yes, we're doing a show right this minute as we speak.
Where?
Doing an independent television, 60-minute television pilot, sitcom pilot for syndication, HBO.
Right.
And we are in the process of taping it right now. As a matter of fact, called The Workshop, written and directed by Stuart Moss, our company, the Montecito Company,
Who's
is
in it,
producing
David?
it.
Who's in it?
Jack Colvin, Elaine Hill, John O'Connell, who's in the Philadelphia Story, who played the Jimmy Stewart part in our
Great.
production of the
I remember.
Philadelphia Story, and Terrence O'Connor. Very good cast.
Have you done soaps, David, at all?
Yes, I did 2 soaps in New
You have?
York. I did a thing called Lovers and Friends and one called For Rich or For Poor. Both were very terrible shows for NBC and both canceled deservedly. So I've also done guest shots out here on a few other things.
Is it hard for you, Anna, to get up in the morning that early and go and sit all day long at the studio doing General Hospital every
Not
day? I
really.
mean,
You see, we
you
don't-
know,
we-
soaps are difficult. You have to get right there. Is it
Yeah, but
completely
you see,
different than films?
The hours aren't nearly as early as they were when I did motion pictures. I mean, a call, for instance, for How Green Was My Valley was always 6 a.m. or 6:30 or something. Here, we don't get into the studio until 9:30.
Oh, it's much more
because...
And then, you see, we have a blocking, and then we have we go to makeup and
Yes.
hairdressing and everything, and then we have a dress rehearsal at 2, and we tape it at 4.
I see. Oh, that's great.
Very often we don't get through till 9 or 10, but that's
Gotta
all
ask
right.
you, whatever happened to Baby Jane? Betty Davis, Joan Crawford. Tell me.
That was an experience because my dressing room was on the set, was there, and Betty's was one side and Joan's was the other. So I got the vibes
Yes.
as they came across.
So you got the vibes. You mean they didn't like each other, or did they? Come on, Anna. Did
Well,
they?
no,
or-
they didn't like each other.
They
but
didn't?
They never showed it. They were very well disciplined. I mean, Joan was very, very grand, and she sat there, and she came in with her entourage of hairdressers, makeup men, chauffeur, secretary, and so on. And she went into her dressing room. Betty would come down all by herself, swearing like a trooper.
I love
you know,
her.
Having a I
Love
love
her.
Betty. I love Betty.
That's wonderful.
And she'd always do things to shock Joan. She'd put up little notes outside her dressing room, like, of all my relations, I prefer sex the best. Things like that.
I love her. I think Betty. I think
I
Joan
love
Crawford
Betty.
must have been a real bitch. She had to be.
She was never a bitch to me. She was always very kind. The only faux pas I made was I once said something about cola, and she said it's not cola, it's Pepsi.
I had her daughter on my show a few weeks ago with
really?
James. Yeah, I
Well,
had.
she played my daughter on Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and it was the only thing she
Not
ever
Joan Crawford. I had Betty.
I'm
I mean Joan Crawford's daughter. Yes,
Joan
Christina.
Crawford. No, Christina. Yeah.
I had Christina on my show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
No, Betty's daughter
Yeah,
played my
She
daughter.
played Betty's.
Who also wrote a nice book about her.
Yeah,
Betty's daughter.
And
Yeah.
she was so tall. She was very, very tall. Well, I'm not really short at all. I'm in 5'5", but I always had to be photographed sitting down because Betty was so much taller than I was.
Why do daughters write terrible things or good things about their mother? Why don't they just leave it alone?
Yeah, I
You
don't
know,
know.
what do you think,
It's very
Anna?
sad. It's very sad. I hope none of my
Combination
daughters
money
do.
and emotion, I would assume.
Combination of money.
Money and emotional
Yes.
reaction to one's parent, I suppose.
Joan Crawford's daughter, Christina Crawford, she was telling me that she was in New York at 18 years old, on her own, didn't have a dime, lived in a small little room, and worked, and got a job, which is fine. But why write a book about your mother like that?
Yeah,
Well, I doubt it. Miss Crawford was an idyllic mother, but then not many women are. So I mean, the whole it's getting to such a personal area that it seems inexcusable. The whole concept now in all your biographies and autobiographies is kiss and tell.
Yes.
And everybody tells everything that they've done with everybody, whether it's a parent, whether it's a child regarding its parents, or whether it's somebody you had an affair with 5 years ago. Nothing is sacred anymore. Everything you do, be ready for it on videotape or in a book, because, you know.
Hollywood. It's changed a lot here, Anna Lee.
A great
David, hasn't it? You
it's a
grew up
different
here as a
thing.
kid, right? You went to Black Fox Military, I bet.
No, I went to a place called Urban Military Academy in
Urban, but you-
Urban in Brentwood. Then I went to school back east where I went to college.
But you did go to military school.
Yes, I did.
Never figure why.
For 4 years.
Black Fox is not here any longer, is it? Black Fox
I don't
Military.
think so.
No,
Yeah.
it used to be very close here. So-
Anna Lee, California. You love it?
No. I'm sorry.
No, I do too. I agree with you. I don't either. I love New York.
Well,
and people say, go to back.
I always feel very alien in California because to begin with, I can't take the hot weather. The real heat I can't take.
Why don't you move back to London, England,
Well,
where you are?
I
from?
thought of, the moment my husband died, I thought of selling the house and moving back to England.
course, darling.
Finding a little cottage in the Cotswolds. However, you see, now I'm completely crippled. I can't walk like I used to. So, the great passion of mine was walking anyway.
Me too.
England.
I like it too. I love it.
And so, and then I think it'd be a little bit harder for me to, and certainly, you see, there are no soap operas there like there are here. And I'd miss General Hospital, so I decided to stay.
There aren't any soap operas in England, is
Well, there are, but they're
They're
half-hour
nighttime
shows.
now.
They're nighttime?
Is Coronation Street still?
Coronation.
Coronation, not
is-
Coronation.
Coronation Street.
But-
Sorry about that.
But
Yeah.
England, I think it would be wonderful, Annalie, going back to England.
Well, I go back every 2 years or so. I went back last year, and then they gave me a...
What do you think of Andrew? I mean, little Andrew. I mean, you know,
I
He's
think
big Andrew
I
now.
think
He's
he's
big
big
Andrew,
Andrew. Yeah, I
yes.
think that he's making the right decision.
I
for
think
his-
he is, and
I mean,
he certainly did well in the Falklands, and I think he's greatly to be
and
admired.
the other brother,
Edward.
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 Well, this is a bit of a sticky wicket now because
Oh,
he's resigned from the
I
Marines.
think it's
but,
wonderful.
But I
He
think
doesn't want to be a Marine?
if he wants to
Fine.
go into the arts and humanities, I don't see any reason
Anna,
why.
could he be
should
into the
pressured.
arts as he's fourth runner-up? You know,
Yeah,
could
he's
he?
thought, certainly
could he
He
be-
could do almost anything he wanted.
He could go
Yes.
into movies.
Yes.
Or theater.
Yes.
I think
Because
he-
both Charles and Andrew have extensive military credentials, so why can't one of three sons, go into the
I
humanities?
think it's wonderful. I think he just spoke up and lived his life and
Yes.
is doing it. What do you think of that, Anna?
I'm all for it. And I love the royal family. I mean, they get very criticized over here, or rather they get laughed at a great deal, but I love them. And I think
What do you
it's
mean,
wonderful.
laugh-
Anybody who's important or achieving anything is going
They
to
get laughed at.
ridiculed
Yes,
or
I
laughed at
suppose
or
so.
demeaned
Yeah. Yes.
or insulted.
Yeah.
I mean, look what the president's going through
Yeah,
right now.
exactly.
The
Yes.
minute you're in a period of a situation of prominence, whether
Yes.
it's social, economic, professional, you're going to be subjected to at least
Yeah.
40% of the people in the world are going to hate your guts. So it goes
Now, what's
with the
happening with your
territory.
daughter, Felicia Stevens?
Venetia.
Venetia.
Um,